everyone. I'm excited to be with Dr. Nancy Gutiérrez today. She is the president and lead executive officer of the Leadership Academy. It's a nationally recognized nonprofit dedicated to driving transformational leadership development for educators at all levels of the school system. And under Nancy's leadership, the organization has supported educators across 41 states and more than 430 school districts, equipping them with the skills to create sustainable, context-driven change. That's incredible, Nancy. In terms of many awards that Nancy has been awarded, she was named California Middle Grades Principal of the Year in 2010, 100 Most Influential Leaders in New York City by City and State in 2020. She has been a teacher and principal in her hometown of East San Jose, California, principal of Renaissance Academy. She's earned her Doctor of Education Leadership from Harvard's Graduate School of Education. She's also a 2019 Bahara Aspen Education Fellow, which is how I know Nancy. And she is the co-author of Stay and Prevail, Students of Color Don't Need to Leave Their Communities to Succeed, which was published in 2023. Nancy, I'm so excited about having you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
It is my honor. I am thrilled that you would want to be in conversation with me.
Nancy, I asked this question because I believe that identity is a power for us. So can you share, how do you identify and how has that shaped your career path?
So thank you for that question. I mean, I'd say first I have to just acknowledge that I'm the daughter of Maria del Socorro Gutiérrez and the granddaughter of Soledad Castillo, who brought us to this country and who have always been my heroes, who have always been people I've looked to say, like, wow, anything's possible, who taught me the meaning of sacrifice and of service. So that's just one. Two, identify as a queer Chicana. And it's interesting because in my path and my identity, it's always been anchored in Chicanismo, in being Mexicana, in being from East San Jose, California. And I have had to be very comfortable adding the queer part to the beginning of that, to say queer Chicana. But I do want to stand in my fullness and share that. I'm also one of six kids. And I never knew a moment when only the six of us and my mom weren't at home. We always had so many people living with us. So I have so many extended family members, cousins, aunts, uncles, big family. And then a final one I'll say is that I'm a new mama. I have two little ones, as you know. And that's been an interesting shift in my identity recently, to stand in that as well, to say, like, wow, I'm a parent of two beautiful little ones, Kai and Ani.
Nancy, I also have to mention, in both of us being in the West Village, in the Village here in New York City, we're neighbors. It's proximity is such a rarity. So I love that we're neighbors as well. When you think about your path, how did those identities shape where you are today? You have a huge role, you've had impact, in so many different areas across the country. How did that shape you?
Well, as you were asking me that question, I was thinking, wait a minute, I didn't say that I'm like a former teacher and principal and district leader and all those things. That was a huge part of who I am. The way that my identity shaped that is that I gave back to the home that raised me. And that has been one of my I take such pride in that marker, that identity marker. It goes back to the first book that you mentioned around Stay and Prevail. Featuring stories of people like me and so many across the country who gave back to a community everyone told you to get out of. They said, hey, you have some potential. If you want to be successful, get out, go over there, remove yourself from your home, from your family, from the people you grew up with, the people you love. And so that has I've always rejected that notion. And to be a teacher, only a couple blocks from where I grew up, and to be a principal at the school my mom went to, my aunts and uncles, siblings, has been the greatest joy. All of that, I think, I take with me as foundational to how I have developed as a leader. And I can tell you so many more stories. I mean, you and I have talked offline about like what it means to come home, right? What it means to do this work. And I think all of those values have shaped me to be in this role, currently leading an organization, the Leadership Academy, that started in New York City, is 20 plus years old. And you would say, wait a minute, I thought you were saying you got to stay and prevail. You have to stay in your community and give back. What I have found is that my definition of home has actually expanded over time, to not just be East San Jose, but to be every community across this country that serves our most vulnerable students and students who have similar stories like my friends, my family, my community.
I love so much the commonality that it doesn't have to be this is my neighborhood and this is my
Yeah.
community, but actually there's so much
Yes.
shared pieces of our stories that bind us together. It's less about separation, right? That is a
Yeah.
myth. And it's much more actually we are so much in community if we could recognize that when I see
Mm.
me, I can see you, and when I see you, I can see me. And it's
And Lakesh.
these things, yeah, I just never learned that as a kid. So let me give back to you, Nancy.
But can I add something quickly?
Yeah, please.
So I'm thinking about how we've met, through Bahara. And I love that Bahara creates affinity spaces and they create bridging spaces. Because I think those conversations emerge as a result of both finding commonality in similar, pathways and being indifference, right? Like being not indifferent, but sitting and being in community with people who are not like us. And anyway, I just wanted to say that I love how we met through that experience too.
And it takes also leaving our community to find that difference. Because if I had stayed home, right, my entire life, I don't think I would have grown as much as I have by being exposed to lots of difference and lots of disagreement. It has provided me a ton of growth. I'm curious for you, Nancy, when you think about, you as a young Nancy, you're a young girl, and there's things you learned, right, as a child. And you realize now, the wiser Nancy, actually, those were not true when I think about my career and what actually got me to where I am today. Do you see any of those myths?
I mean, for starters, I think I learned pretty early on what not low expectations, but no expectations look like, right? And in some ways, I don't know that I thought I deserved more. And there was something in me that said, this isn't right, this doesn't feel right, and I acted out in ways that one would act out when disrespected, right? Like, and got in trouble a lot at school. I was always in trouble with my mom. I got home because she always got calls. And it took me getting to meet a certain teacher in 8th grade, Mr. Lovelace, that really helped me see that, number one, like I deserved very high expectations, that I was actually quite smart, that I could, that I could share my stories and my experiences in written form. He told me that I was a writer and I should explore that. I should think more about that, and gave me most improved award. And so I think the younger me didn't know the possibility of my genius, and I even get nervous seeing something like that because it removed it feels a little bit egotistical, right, to say something like that. But I'm trying to embrace the gifts we all bring. We all have a genius within us, and we have to find that. And I don't think I knew that I had that in me. I thought, and my pathway, I think from that point in middle school on, has been a discovery of what I love, of what I'm good at, of what I connect with, what makes me feel whole, of the spaces that I want to create. I remember being in my undergrad years, and I was in a course, and the professor was saying, "Oh, I think one of us, a student, complains, hey, there aren't a lot of like women here as professors." And she said, "Well, who in here will come back and be that person?" Right. So I think I also learned that over time, that it wasn't about complaining about my circumstances, but about becoming the change I wanted to see in the world, about stepping into that and really understanding that I had the ability to do that. It was about where my fit was, and what I was going to pursue. And so I don't think I knew that. I don't think I knew that I had that much power. And I don't think our communities know how empowered we really are, to step into exactly what the changes we want to see.
I want to double click on that as I reflect on listening to you. It took me listening and hearing from someone else that I could be CEO, that I even considered it. It just was not in my set of things that I was going to even seek. So I
Mm,
appreciate it so
yeah.
much because sometimes you do need someone to tell you, even though it's been in you the whole time, to hold up a mirror. And as an executive coach, Nancy, I love that. It's such an honor to just be like,
Mm.
you do know you're a badass, right? Like I just am holding up a mirror. This is not me. This is you. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing that sometimes when we don't see it, we can step into it. We can be that
Yeah.
person. We can only recognize that, yes, I am deserving. We are deserving. And I'm standing for so much more as I take this role, as we take these roles, that it's opening possibilities for others to see themselves. Sometimes we don't get to hear that we can do it. But if I see you, Nancy, I'm like, wow, Nancy did it. Like maybe I can do it too. So that
Yeah.
makes me so happy. Nancy, did you want to be CEO? Like, was that in your set of, stay and prevail? I also want to be CEO.
No, no, I love it. I should say I love it. But if I back up a little bit in my own trajectory, like I loved teaching. I was a teacher. I loved organizing. I loved making my community a better place. I mean, my mom was a huge influence of that. We would, on Saturdays, she would have us get up and go across the street to the school and pick up the trash, and she would have us do so much work in community in the service of our own home. And when I fell into the teaching profession, I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. It was the most incredible experience teaching elementary and middle school. And the only reason I became a principal was because there was a parent by the name of Maria Vizcarra, and she came in to observe my seventh grade class that day, and her son David was in my class. So she's observing the class, and afterwards I go over to her and I was like, let's sit down. What questions do you have? You want to look, whatever you want, whatever questions you have, I'm here to answer them and be your partner in this work. And she's like, I don't want you to ask you questions. Like, I want to organize you to come to a meeting we're having tonight. And she was hosting a meeting at her home where a group of middle school parents were coming together to envision a school they wanted for their kids. Something she knew her kid would never benefit from.
Mm.
But she knew that future generations in East San Jose would. I would go to the meeting that night, meet so many amazing, predominantly Spanish speaking parents who were dreaming of what could be. I would open that school a couple of years later. And we were part of the first set of small schools in San Jose, or East San Jose specifically, learning from New York City, learning from Oakland, learning from the small schools movement. And that kind of set up the leadership trajectory from there. I used to always think like the principal is like, that's the other side. No way, I'm a teacher, um, and when you step into it, you're like, whoa, like the level of scale and influence and impact that's possible as a result of taking on these bigger roles. They're harder, but they're amazing. And so the work I do today is work I wish I would have had when I was a school principal. That we are able to support school principals and leaders across this country, across 40 plus states, is an incredible gift. And I feel like, no, I didn't expect to step into this role, and what a gift to be able to do that and to give back in ways that I wish I would have had.
I love it. The story of I wish that I had had this, so let me bring it into the world. Let me birth it into the world. It means so much to me. I want to talk about you staying and prevailing because it is
Okay.
not the story, right? Like it's often
Okay.
you're right. Like your success when you leave, your success when you
Yes.
go out and get the degrees and you keep on going, and hopefully we'll see you for the holidays. And yet you mentioned earlier your mom, you and your mom would pick up trash in your community.
All my siblings, all six of us, she'd
All
have us
six of
out
us.
there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so this is something really personally I find unique. Hearing from other career stories, it's usually TFA, right? You
Mhm.
go to TFA
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then you go somewhere else, and then you just keep
Mm.
on going and you get the senior role, usually not in your city.
Mm.
So can you talk about what was it about stay where you are, like that you were clear that you would stay in your community and serve your community? Like what was the thing? What was the conviction that there was no other question?
If I didn't step in to do it, who would? I remember getting the call too. So I opened up this small school, and during that time, we were district adopted small schools,
Mhm.
right? And I remember getting the call from the superintendent saying, "Hey, like, I need you here. Like, I get it. Like, and you're doing some really innovative, like, amazing work. You've been there for a couple of years. Like, I need you at the lowest performing comprehensive middle school." And the first thing I thought was, "Oh my gosh, like my mom was there, like my sibling." Like that was, there was no answer but yes in that moment. It
Mm.
was like, absolutely. And I remember we doing this activity with the other principals, and people were writing little notes. We were writing notes on each other's charts as a warm up, and someone put brave, like good luck. Like there was this deep reputation of how violent, how much the parents didn't care, how all the narratives that feed or communities of color often. And I felt very differently because that was my home. So the idea that someone who loved the community would come back and serve it was a no-brainer for me. Absolutely. I was in. And I have to say, it was some of the hardest work I've ever done.
Mm.
And, like there's also, I had to acknowledge too that coming back to the community um, wasn't immediately met with open arms by the community, right? It was
Oh,
like, oh,
really?
yeah. I mean, people were, of course, happy and like, wow, one of us, but are you really one of us? Like, or did you change? Like, are you part of them now? Like,
Mm.
how are you going to show up? Like, how do people show up when you add layers of power and
Yes.
positionality and
Yes.
title and all those things? And so I remember my very first community meeting, and a parent came up to me at the end, and I'm hugging everybody, I'm speaking, Spanish, and I'm feeling really good. And she came to just give me a word, that basically said, like, "I'm not going to trust you until you show me you're different." And
Mhm.
I remember being really blown away by that. Like, you have to let your ego, you have to like tell your ego, like, it's not about you. Like, you need to be humble. And in fact, in the book, it's Stay and Prevail, we talk about like the listening tours people do often to get to know the communities. And if you're from the community, you're like, "I got this, but I know this community." But do you? I hadn't been there for years.
Mm.
I had to relearn, and I had to do a lot of listening, and I had to ask the hard questions, not just like, what's your hope 5 years from now, but how have schools hurt you or your family in the past?
Wow.
Like creating spaces. And the reason I know that is because when I told my mom I was becoming the principal of Fisher Middle School in East San Jose, where she went, she cried. She
Wow.
was upset. And she could only tell me really harsh memories of things she had experienced there. And why would I want to go back there? Why would you? So the pain people carry in their bodies as a result of bad schooling experiences, those are projected onto us as leaders as we walk in
Mm-hmm.
those spaces. You can't ignore them. You can't be like, "Yeah, that wasn't me." I mean, like that person, this person, the blame game. You have to actually, if you don't listen and you don't own what happened, who will?
Mm.
Right. And so those are just some like again, beautiful, beautiful years of leadership work, and really, really hard and so personal. So personal.
I hear a few things. It's that if I don't step in, who will? Like truly, that so it's a call to I want to be the one to really change the trajectory. I love that. And not to say you are the one, but to say that you will be
Sure.
part
Yeah.
of this change. Second, I hear there's a lot of listening and humility. And this is really brave, honestly, Nancy, because you're opening it, ripping open the wound. I mean, that is as hard as it gets. There's real trauma there, and you are now the listening for a lot of trauma and pain. So incredibly brave. And the third is that there's
And
a
I can't say that I did that perfectly,
okay.
but I learned a lot from, and almost the community really helped me learn what it meant to do that well.
What does it mean
Because
to do that well? Because I actually want to know. Because I've been in
well,
these positions and it's really hard. It's probably one of the hardest things because it's real for them and also it wasn't personally me. So I want to. What does it mean to do this well?
I'll give you an example from from leading a school, and an example from being a CEO right now. I think from the leading a school perspective, it was around being willing to hear the hard stuff, right?
Mm.
Like being willing to give my time. Like yeah, I had cafecito con Miss Gutiérrez. They could come and have cafecito with me and talk about whatever they want. But usually my parents weren't going to talk about these things unless I actually asked them,
Mhm.
right? It meant going to the apartment complex and hosting a meeting there.
Yep.
It meant like really putting myself out there to engage. It meant, I remember when we were first starting the first small school, we go to the churches, right? And
Yes.
we'd hang out afterwards, after the churches, and we'd hang out with parents and connect with them. And that means showing up to big community events. Like, I think always being present. I
Hmm.
had to really earn trust in order for people to be real with me. So it was like, leadership, we always talk about high visibility, right? Like I had to become highly visible. And that meant giving a lot of time to really earn, to say like, yeah, like I'm here. I'm here. I'm with you. I know you don't trust me, but I'm going to do everything in my power to earn it.
Hmm.
And I know it's not deserved. I know I just don't get it because I was appointed to this role, right? The You want me to go to the CEO role? You have a question about
No, I
that?
want to ask you about that because
Ask me. Yeah,
it's like listening. Okay, great. Let's do a listening tour. Like, what's my list of questions? Where do I hit? And where are the churches? I love this. And yet it's not enough. And you're
it's not
going
enough.
there because I haven't earned your trust. I've done the listening tours and there's more. Can you talk about that? Because now you're in the seat and you're now causing change. What are the things, what are the trust moves to get this community where you're from to actually believe you that you're here for them? Like what were those moves?
Yeah, I mean, you have to reflect back. You can't just listen.
Yeah.
You have to reflect back what you heard,
Mm-hmm.
and people have to experience quick wins. And that's cliche, but it's true. You
Yeah.
know, one quick win was the very first year at that school, the comprehensive school, we had 1,550 plus behavior referrals to the office.
Wow.
Right. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, how are we going to do this? And I had an amazing team of teachers, amazing admin team. And was it about making punishment harsher? Was it about saying like control your kids, da 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 da? Or was it about flipping it, flipping the way we do things? So what we did was we created what we called like an E squared referral. And you're taking me back. And then you say you're taking me back to like, my principal days here. But an E squared referral was exhibiting excellence. And the theory was like, what if we gave referrals for really awesome things and not for really terrible things,
Hmm.
right? Like, how would that flip the culture for both the families, the communities, for the teachers? And so put it on the triple K. You remember that? I mean, I said those when I was little all the time. Like, go to the office. You're being defiant. You're being this.
Yeah.
You're terrible. And what if it was like, you are so damn smart. Go to the principal right now
Oh.
and take this with you because I need her to know how amazing. Oh my God, did you just jump up 2 levels? Like, go to the principal. Did I just see you helping out our other student who needed some? Get out of here right now. Go to the principal's office. What if we could transform the principal's office to a place that celebrated excellence?
Wow.
And we did that. And so I would call the parent, I would call the family, and of course they get nervous. Even I get nervous right now. My kids are so young. School calls me, like, what happened? And I would say, I'll tell you what happened. Your baby's amazing. Let me tell you. And I would have the details. The teacher would write, and the way that shifted, the way we were able to see students, families, teachers, the way teachers started hanging them up on their walls, the way kids would hold them, like in their bind to collect them. I mean, that's just one example of a quick win we did as a result of hearing from people that all we did was call them with bad news, that all we did was create like an us versus them, that they felt so embarrassed, so ashamed to come to school. Granted, kids still did things wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
that decreased exponentially. And when they did something wrong, we would create spaces to figure that out together with the families as well. But that's just one example of a quick win, kind of in a school-based setting.
It's so beautiful because how often do we hear good things, right, about
Yeah.
school? Because usually not the thing. If there's a call, that's not what call we want. Um, and I love also that it came from listening. That I heard you, and
Mhm.
we're going to change who we are and what school is. Like this will be a
Oh,
place of beauty.
but and testing things out. It could have failed. It could have not
Mm-hmm.
worked. And we
Mm-hmm.
did plenty of things that didn't work, right, as a
Mm-hmm.
result. But the whole idea of innovation, right, is experimentation. You have to just like try it out, take a swing, see what happens,
Absolutely.
learn from it.
And it's not failure. It's okay, let's try something else. Like it's life. So it's modeling for others that we can try new things. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But the point is that we keep
Yeah,
trying. So
100%.
modeling. Nancy, we're ready for lightning round questions.
Okay.
Okay. Chocolate or vanilla,
Always vanilla.
cooking or takeout?
If I'm not the one cooking. Otherwise, takeout. And I live in New York City. I know
I
I get the best
know.
food. So
You can get all the things. Would you rather climb a mountain or jump from a plane?
planes are not for me. I'm afraid of heights. I mean, I take planes all the time. I travel for work all the time, but I don't want to climb a mountain either. But I am from the Bay Area, and in California, people have their favorite farmers markets and their favorite hikes. So I'll go with the hike.
How would you rate your karaoke skills on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Mariah Carey?
Terrible, terrible. I used to get made fun of because I sing so bad. So I just try to, buy everybody drinks, like just have fun, like I'll do it in a group setting, but that's it.
That's funny. What's a good book that you read or a recent book you've read?
Um, this feels shameless to say, but this morning I was just reading our newest book, The Leadership
Mm.
Academy, called
Hmm.
Coaching Education Leaders. And I'll just say that yes, I'm one of the co-authors, but my two co-authors for me represent like the 20 plus years of leadership coaching expertise um, that I just appreciate so much. So writing this book with them was a gift, and I reference it all the time. I always have it with me. I mean, if you need good questions to ask, if you are, thinking about what it means to like the coaching cycle from start to finish, if you're trying to think about what it means to push somebody who's so amazing to their learning edge. So it sounds boring and it sounds shameless, but
I love it.
trying to
And you're like, and I
give
love that
give
you
props to my
refer to
co-authors. Yeah, I
it.
do. I do.
Tell me, Nancy, about your favorite way or one of your favorite ways to practice self-care.
Wow. It might be spending time with my family, having the still moments, putting the laptop away, like trying to stop working on the weekends to be super present. It's
Mhm.
hard to do
Mhm.
and it's important. And I think the other place is, see, my one of my strongest values is family, but is making sure that my kids and my family who live here in New York City are still close to our California family. And when I watch them all play together, or all of us hang out, like we're going to Mexico, later this week on a big family trip. Like those moments are so special, and I feel so taken care of in those moments, and really at peace to be with the bigger family.
Hmm. What is your definition of a boss mama?
A boss mama. Well, I guess fully stepping into that. I used to think that I was a really good boss, and that above all, it was like how I engaged and how I treated people. I mean, my former coach, oh, actually, my current coach, Bob Keegan, used to always say to me, "I don't care how great your resume is; it'll last you 15 minutes. What matters how you treat people, how you engage with people." Um, and I believe that to be true. And I realized that being a boss, being someone's supervisor, leading an organization, leading a school, leading whatever it is that you lead, still faces this level of power and hierarchy and big responsibility in your hands. So a boss mama for me would be like taking really good care of that power,
Mm.
doing it and using it, leveraging in ways that are good, creating space to share that power, and using the collective brilliance of your team to do good things for the world, for kids.
Mhm. What's a good professional development you've done?
Um, so many. Obviously my work is in, leadership development, professional learning. And we believe in like experiential learning, learn by doing. So anything that I've learned has always been by getting thrown in and learning by doing. And I mean, I'll take it back to Pahara, to where we met, where there's implications for not just how you're thinking and how you're working, but really how you're balancing that with your ability to stay in the game. Because I think one of the biggest leadership lessons I learned, that if I can't stay in the game, like, and then what good am I, right? Like, if I would really want to do this work and have great impact, in order to stay in the game and to stay fresh and to lead in ways that are helpful for this world, I need to take care of myself too, right? And so that's what I appreciate when a professional learner acknowledges the humanity in addition to all of the really heavy lifting we have to do together.
On that note, if you were to give advice to your younger self, what advice would you give?
Mm. You know, submit ego to task, right? Like Harry Spence, one of my professors, always say that. What is the goal? What are we trying to do together? You almost, your ego, whatever you feel inside, almost becomes irrelevant to that goal, right? Of making sure that every kid in this country has what I want for my own babies, a place that's nurturing, a place that pushes them to their learning edge, a place that makes them feel welcome every time they walk in the door, and that creates opportunities and possibilities that are limitless in life. And yeah, that's what I want.
Nancy, where can we find you? Like LinkedIn, anywhere else?
LinkedIn is my preferred at the moment. And always hit me up via email or website, www.leadershipacademy.org. People reach out often. People reach out often for support, for advice, just to check in, to connect. And I'm always responsive, as much as I can be, or I refer them to someone else. But um, yeah, feel free. Don't be afraid to reach out if I can ever be of service.
And then last question, Nancy, do you have a final ask, recommendation, parting thoughts to share?
I'm thinking a lot about what it means to respect the mountain. For
Mm,
your question about the hike, Andres Alonso, who's a former Baltimore soup and was one of my professors for grad school, used to always talk about that, right? Like, what does it mean to really respect the context, to not come in? You mentioned earlier, and Annalise, I wanted to thank you for correcting, because you said something like you listened so that you could change, that you could be the change and bring that. You're like, no, wait a minute, be part of it, be one of the people engaging in what the community needed. And I think respecting the mountain means just that, right? Like,
mm,
that no one knows their, the community as well as community knows themselves,
mm,
right? That, oh, we must always be attentive in anything we do, whether we're taking on a new role in an organization or we are engaged in a new project, to just to pause, to respect the intelligence that is pre-existing before your arrival, to understand the beauty and the greatness of the place you are serving, and then to use all of that to do your best in humility to serve and to be a servant of the space that you are entering. I think that is my ask of everyone, to be a learner, to be a listener, to have that orientation in everything we do. And I think we will be a better society and community as a result of that. Because that includes people who are different than us. It includes listening and learning with people who may not think the same as us.
so beautiful. Nancy, thank you so much for these brilliant words and advice and story sharing. I so appreciate you.
Listen, I've been dying for this invitation to come talk to you. And I said, I'm a huge fan of yours and of your work. And thanks for creating this space. And we got to get together. I mean, we're like neighbors. So I'll
Yes,
see you soon. And
love it.
which I'm going to say. Okay.
Thank you.